Hello, everyone. This is your favorite homeboy, Chilly Willy from ECW, and you are watching the Channa 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 podcast here, right here in the Philippines. So don't miss it.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have a very special guest today joining from Pampanga. Actually, we got Chilly Willy
Yo,
Jones joining the
what's
podcast. Hi,
happening?
Willy.
How you
I,
doing, man? Thanks, Shanna, for having me on, brother.
yeah, I'm good. I wanted to do this for a long time, so somehow it didn't happen. But finally, I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate it. We both in the Philippines, so it's all good. It's all good.
Right. Can you tell me where are you in Philippines and how's the life here?
I'm in like you said, Pampanga. I'm in Angeles City, Pampanga, Balibago actually. If anybody's out there familiar with Clark Base, Fields Avenue, I'm right there, right in the heart. So yeah, I'm here. I haven't always been here. I've been in the Philippines 6 years. I first came here and then I moved and went to Leyte in
Hmm.
Sanmar, and then from there, I moved around quite a bit. From there, I went to Manila in Paranaque. I think that's how you pronounce it. And from there, I came back here. No, I'm sorry. From there, I went to Burgos, Pangasinan.
Right.
Have some property there. So I have a little property, beachfront property there. And so now I'm back here in Angeles.
Right. So how's been with the pandemic with this situation in Angeles?
It's actually, man, it really hurt Angeles, like it did the rest of Manila in the world. A lot of bars, like if you're familiar with the Fields Avenue,
Hmm.
um, you know, here it's the bar scene, so it's like one strip full of bars, and it's really I would say the cash cow of Angeles City. You know what I mean, in a sense.
Right.
And so the pandemic really hurt the city with the bars closing up, the young girls that can't make money, bar owners losing a lot. A lot of bars have closed up. They're starting to reopen. There's some that are reopening, um, but it just hit them hard. And if you don't have that hard cash to put down, that hard peso to put down to reopen up your business, you'll probably wind up selling it. So, we're starting to see a bunch of Korean owners come in and take over where I think before there were a lot of Philippine Filipino owners of the bars or Filipino Americans or whatever, however you have it. But a lot of those guys can't come back over to the Philippines, so they had to close down. So now that um, some of the Koreans are here from the Korean town area. They're kind of moving over and taking over, which is good. They are, they're keeping it open and trying to get it back to what it was.
Right. Yeah. I mean I've been to Angeles, I've been to Clark, and I really like that nightlife, and we have that
Yeah,
in Manila also. We have Burgos Street,
yeah,
famous Burgos Street. But
a lot. Yeah,
what I started seeing, like even before the pandemic, is these, like, sort of the red light districts are so slowly becoming like more of a food stuff, right? Bars are
yep.
closing and ramen places are opening, noodle houses are
Hmm.
opening. It becoming
Right.
so that all lifestyle is slowly sort of decaying, right? Which is
Yeah.
sad actually.
Hmm. Yeah. You like I said, the Koreans, they have kind of came in and saved the day. Some of them, with their like little small grocery stores, Sam Gift
Right.
style restaurants, um, and things like that. So they have came in and really kind of taken over or starting to take over in a sense. You still have some um, Filipino owners, but not as many. For whatever reason, uh, and so it's kind of hard. It's hard, and unless you have them dollars, man, and it's hard to sustain. And it's sad because of, the young ladies, they can't work, they can't make a living, hardly, and it's just not here in the Philippines. I guess it's all over, and this pandemic, this thing has
Right.
really done it. It's really done a damage to the world. You know what I mean? Man-made virus, whatever you want to call it, bullshit. That's just my
Yeah.
take. That's no one else's opinion. That's William Jones' take. So I just think it's not saying that it's not real. It's real. It's definitely real. Kills, it hurts. It does the damage.
Right.
Um, but all the other stuff that comes with it, all the other shenanigans, the control, wearing the mask, making you wearing the mask, and all that, trying to make you take a vaccine that's not yet proven. That's controlled. It's a form of control, and you know, the powers up top, they have their own agenda. So we are all slaves, puppets. No matter how much you got, how much money you have, you're a YouTube influencer, you're an athlete, you're a politician. It's a group. It's just a small group of people, man, that really controls this world. That is really doing the damage that they want. Because look at some of those guys and women that have made billions since the pandemic. you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
And then there's people, yeah, and then there's people that can't even eat. We had to go stand in line just to go to SM Mall, uh, just to get groceries. I remember that last year. You have to stand in line, you wait, and then you have to wear your shield, and you have to social distancing. All this shit, man. It's all a game to me. It's all a game. Um, this is something that they've been wanting to do for a long time. These people wanted to do this for a long time. They create wars, they create catastrophes in different parts of the world, occupation, different countries. But this thing right here locked down every country, not
Right.
just one, every country. And and so yeah, to those who made billions, you got to ask yourself how, why, how did you make billions? How did you make billions in the pandemic when everyone else is starving, dying,
Right.
and hurting? How the hell did you make billions? And I'm like, so my mind is like, I can't deal with it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I've been doing okay with it. You know what I mean? I think I caught it back in November, and thank God I came out of it. So but hey, it is what it is.
Yeah. I kind of call it, I have this theory that it's three C's, which is compliance, control, and consolidation. So they
Hmm.
just basically did that, right? They want to control the people, make people compliance to all this bullshit, and then they want to consolidate all the properties and all the money, right? Because I think
Exactly.
one thing happened is that all the small businesses disappeared. A lot of
Yeah.
small businesses disappeared, right?
Yeah. And it's like, why? Why is that? Why are you making it hard for people to go to buy food? You know what I mean? You don't want elders to go out to get food or get their medicine, you know, if they have diabetes or high blood pressure. And you don't want little kids to go out to play. Excuse me. So, I mean, it's like, why are you doing this? It's all control. And so I think the powers to be, this 1%, or whoever it is, it's not even 1%, half a percent. They have done their job, and by getting this vaccine, I mean not vaccine, but this virus out, and put the blame on wherever, put the blame on Wuhan, America, whatever. Bottom line is they got it out there, and it is killing people, and it is they controlling it. You know what I mean? So they want
Yeah.
to give you vaccine, but they didn't want to give you. My thing is this, Shannon. They want to give you free vaccine for a virus, but when AIDS came out, they weren't giving out free AIDS medicine. You know what I
Right.
mean? They weren't really trying to stop you from having sex. You know what I mean? People got cancer. Why you don't give them free chemo shots, chemotherapy
Right.
shot, or chemotherapy treatment? You know what I mean? Why you don't give me? I'm a diabetic. Why you don't give me free insulin?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it, there lies the bullshit. You know what I mean? So if people, but what we as the lay people, man, we are followers and we just follow everything. We just, you know, and me, I try not to. Like I'm not taking the vaccine. Just my choice. I know I need to go back to America and see my family, but I told them, I hope nothing happens. Knock on wood. None of my family, my mom or my dad or any of my brothers or cousins, but I don't want to take the vaccine just to go there and then I can't get back to the Philippines. I like the Philippines. I love the Philippines. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's just not just the Philippines. It's just my freedom. So it's you don't know the nanotechnology that that's coming up now. You don't know what is going on. You don't know what they putting in shit. It might not even be nothing. It might just be a placebo where it's like just water and salt. you think it's you think it's a vaccine. They're just putting water and salt in you, and you think you're going around because you thinking, oh, I got the vaccine, I'm cured. You don't know, man.
yeah,
Do you really know? Do you really
yeah,
know? You know what I mean? So it's like I take a chance with insulin. Do I really know this is But I really have to look at my blood sugar, and if it's going down, okay, I know it's working. I know. And
right.
plus with my eating, my right eating, cleaning my system, not drinking sodas and all that stuff. But with this virus thing, now they come out with this new stuff, the Delta variant, all this other crap. How many other next week or next month? How many more variants are going to come out? You see what I'm saying? It's going to keep going. So we got to live with it. To answer your question, I know we went all the way around politically, but to answer your question, I mean, we as people here in the Philippines, America, we got to live with this thing, and
Right.
got to make the best of it. You know what I mean? The government should just let people do what they've been doing. Open up. Open up the stores, open up the casinos or whatever. Open up so people can get back to so we can get back to wrestling. You know,
Yeah,
basketball
right.
games and volleyball games. Because we gonna live with it, just like AIDS. We live with AIDS. We live with cancer. Open up. Why you don't want to open up? You can't stop this thing. You know, you can't
Yeah,
stop it. You know.
yeah. It's uh. So I remember I remember meeting you. I think it was 2019 during this MWF event. I was there.
Oh, okay.
I with you. You were with Tajiri and that
Yeah.
event in Venice Mall,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
right? So, what you've been doing with the local wrestling guys, and can you tell me about what you've been doing with the local guys in the Philippines?
Well, I haven't since then really, and since the pandemic, nothing, of course. But prior to that, just it more so like a consultant role of just going in, helping out, giving pointers to the wrestlers. Um, and for those who want to take it in, they can take it in. For those who don't, whatever. But that's what I've been doing. So I would go to MWF, uh, PWR when I was going there, um, and just trying to give some insight of what I've learned and just pass it on. And then 2017, I think it was 17, we I was in charge of training the AOW wrestlers, warriors there. There's about 25 of them, and
Right.
then they disbanded. So they went out and did their own thing, and they're doing their own thing now. So yeah, so that's what I've done. Just helping out a little bit here and there. You know.
Right. What do you think about the Filipino talent?
Mm. I get a lot of questions when people ask me that, or I've been here since 2015. The first show I saw was PWR at MCS uh, Mall there, and
Right.
you know, uh, at that time, and still no, they needed work.
Right.
And some a lot of those guys will admit it, and girls, and I think they have come a long ways. They have really evolved. Since then, and um, you just got to. It's a working process, man. You're not gonna get wrestling in 2 or 3 years and come up top and be like this. You're gonna be this. You look at guys that are wrestling now that you see on NWA. I mean, I'm sorry, yeah, even NWA Power, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, whatever, New Japan. Those guys been wrestling, man, 15, 20 something years, maybe 10, 11, 12 years before they really got their break. And so here in the Philippines, it's new. We had you had wrestling here back in the 80s, 90s, but not like really properly trained. But they had the production of being on television. They had
Right.
that someone got them on television, and so they were showcased. And and so it's like, okay, we're showcased, but is it proper? You know what I mean? Is it the proper technique? Is the proper way of doing things? And so now it goes the same. I mean, even though things are put online or put on, YouTube, whatever, or social media, your wrestling still have to be the standard. Anything less is just like backyard wrestling. And
Right.
so, a couple of years, I think that a lot of the guys here were doing that. They didn't really, they weren't properly trained correctly. They just learned. They went on the fly, and they
Mm.
learned. And kudos to them. You know what I mean? And so I don't knock that. It's just they know now by growing up as grown men and women, they look back and they look at themselves and say, "Yeah, we could have done this better. Or we should be better." You know what I mean? But while they were doing it, I think they were just so happy and like so excited to be a wrestler that they thought that they were doing the right thing when it
Mm.
actually looked like total shit. I mean, they were just doing backyard wrestling, faking the funk. And we as pro, me, coming from, where I came from, and it's like, yo, that don't look right. You know what I mean? So, but now they have really uh, just sat down and said, okay, hey, this is what we need to do. And I think when this pandemic is over and get back into wrestling, I think you're gonna see some really good shows, some really good wrestlers, evolve even better. And that's a good thing also with this pandemic. I mean, it's just like a reset. It's like a reset button. You know what I mean? We all just sat around, just but you still have to keep yourself in shape mentally and physically. So
Right. Yeah, because they actually call it the Great Reset, right?
yeah, like that's what
uh,
it is. It's like the
yeah,
great reset. You know what I mean? And so, if you are, in any profession, basketball, jujitsu, you know, um, you really had time to just chill for a little bit and think, what can I do next? How can I improve? And I think
mm,
this is the time, or and now we're coming out of it, kind of. Now it's really time to really get yourself in the gym. Anyone listening, you get yourself in the gym, because I think 2022 things are going to be different. I just
right.
that's what I think.
Yeah. Uh,
Showcase time.
yeah. One thing that I used to do before the pandemic, we used to go. Me and my son, we went to all the PWR event every month. So we
Uh-huh.
will be there regularly. Every show we are there. Even
Wow.
my son celebrated his birthday on the ring because he was
Uh-huh. Oh,
so
really?
like he was known by the wrestlers. So they wanted to put up a show for him. Like, so he went on stage during the event and he had his cake and all that. So it's been such a great experience for me to bond with my son because he
Hmm.
actually brought me back to wrestling because I used to be a big fan before, but somehow down the line, I wasn't really interested anymore.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah. And then my son started watching this new wrestling stuff, and then we were talking, and then he got me back into wrestling, and then we went to all the PWR events, most of the MWF events.
Hmm.
We went to WWE event in 2019, the last one. We went to Singapore. We had a great time, like, enjoying it
Wow.
as a father and son. And it was such a
Okay.
bonding experience for me. And it's so such. so special, and I really enjoyed the PWR shows that they put out because it was really good
Hmm.
quality. And then they had
Right.
talents like Chris Spencer, Quattro,
Hmm.
Sandata, who were very well, they were up there, right? They
Yes.
were such good
Yes.
quality talents.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like I said, since 2015, man, up to now, these guys have really they honed their skills, and they really started settling down, and really not just going through the high spot moves, and trying to do all these special things, but they really started getting into the psychology of wrestling.
Right.
And just as they were like really getting into the psychology of wrestling. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, like I was saying, I think that when everything opens back up, and I think that these guys, girls, they'll be ready. They'll be ready to show their talents and show even better.
Right.
You know?
So Chili, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood? I'm curious, like where did you grow up and how was your family back then? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. I was born in North Carolina, uh, in Goldsboro, North Carolina, and I was raised by my grandmother in East Orange, New Jersey, from the
Mm.
time I was about 9 months old up until about the time I was 14, 15. And then I went to high school back in North Carolina, lived with my mother, my stepdad, and my brothers, and lived there for about 3 years. Right after high school, the day after I graduated, I went back to New Jersey and started
Mm.
living, and started hanging out at clubs and all that good stuff. Actually, was hanging out at Club Tunnel in New York City back in 1988,
Right.
89, when Vin Diesel was a bouncer. So I knew him as a bouncer. Uh, and then I got married in 89 at 19. So I was really young. And
Right.
just, yeah. And when I got married in 19, the first couple of months when I got married, because I wanted to be a wrestler ever since I was 8, I um, traveled from upstate New York, Rochester, New York, to Paulsboro, New Jersey,
Mm.
and I wanted to try out for the Monster Factory, where Larry Sharp he was the owner manager. And I tried out one night. It was on a Tuesday night. Didn't have the money, of course. It cost like $3,000-$4,000 to go to school. And I went back home and started working because I
Mm.
was a husband. I was just, and all that good stuff, and just just worked. Um, and and then that was 1990, and in 97, uh 96, I'm sorry, 96, I tried out for WCW Power Plant in 96,
Right.
and out of about 30 guys, I was one of the 3 guys left to train there. I actually have a picture, probably on my Facebook page somewhere, where you see Chris Benoit, and Steven Regal. That was the last day of that tryout, because on Fridays they would come in and get their paychecks, and so I, I marked out, of course. Asked for pictures, and I got some other pictures at home, like with guys like High Voltage at the time, Adam Bomb, Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker. He was the actual trainer. He's the one who trained everyone, pretty much everyone in WCW. Bill Goldberg, all those guys. And so I have pictures at home somewhere. Um, but that's before the internet and everything. So I'm old school.
Right.
And
So
so
so you
it's,
so, yeah.
yeah,
You said that you were interested of becoming a wrestler like when you were 8. What really
yes.
inspired that? Who inspired that?
Well, I was a kid. Like I said, I grew up with my grandmother, and my cousin. But my cousin they would bully me, man. They would kick my ass like almost every chance they can get, and and I would go to my grandmother. I was her pride and joy. So they were like, "Argh." And so when we would watch TV like on Saturday mornings or something like that, I don't know. One day I was just flipping the channel and I happened to see wrestling on uh, WWF at the time,
Hmm.
and ever since then, and then I would go to North Carolina and I would watch NWA. You know, Ric Flair, Rick Steamboat. But watching WWE, watching Bob Backlund, Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco, Pedro Morales, Johnny Rods, all those guys. It was like they were like yeah, they told a story for a kid that was 8 years old, bad guy, good guy. And so it,
Right.
it kind of hit home. It was like, yo, I wish I was that big. I could, I would see guys like Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson, you know, and I was like, oh snap, look how big they are. You know what I mean? Oh, with the muscles, I want to be like that. And they kicking somebody's ass. And so then, whenever my cousins would try to fight me, I would try to like emulate them. And then it just got to a point where it wasn't until I got into like junior high school, I started lifting weights, football team and everything that I started seeing some gains, and I was like, okay. I started
Right.
taking the protein, the wheat of protein, and the muscle milk. No, not muscle milk. Muscle milk wasn't out, but weight gain, and I just want that was just one of my things. And ever since then, you know, I was just like, I want to be a wrestler. I didn't know at the time what it was. I didn't know it was
Right.
choreographed and all that fake and all that good stuff. But I was like, yo, when I hit someone, I wanted to hit them. When I clothesline someone, I wanted to try to clothesline, but you can't do that in a real fight. you
Right.
get your ass kicked. You know what I mean? So I was like, why is it not working? I'm trying to body slam someone, trying to go between their legs and pick them up. I'm like, why it ain't working? I'm lifting all these weights and I can't pick up my cousins. I can't pick up guys in school. I'm like, okay, I just got to rely on punching or kicking or something. And I didn't know till later, man. I seriously, honest to God, did not know until later, almost until even when I went to Paulsboro, New Jersey, back in '90. I did not know wrestling was like that. I was a mark until I started wrestling. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I I was like, how you pick these guys up? Because I was a bouncer for years. I was a bouncer at different clubs, but you know, I never tried to body slam someone as a bouncer. It was just more like get them, subdue them, and that was it. But I was trying to figure out how do I body slam these jokers,
Right.
and I didn't know you. I did not know. Swear to God, I did not know that it was a work. You know what I mean? And then when I went to WCW, um, I talked to the owner, Joey Hamilton at the time, Mr. Wrestler number 2, I think it was. And they were like, you gotta have money to go to school. Every day, every time I try out something, you gotta have money. You gotta have money. So it wasn't until I went back home, North Carolina, in
Hmm.
'97. Went to my old high school. They had a wrestling match. My dad was working at the school. I snuck in, um, and that's where I met. I didn't meet those guys, but I saw guys like Joey Matthews, Christian York, uh, Steve Carino, C.W. Anderson, Shane Helms, the Hardy Boys. They were wrestling at my high school on the
Right.
indie circuit, '97. And then I started talking to C.W. Anderson's cousin, um, Dan Wright, and he gave me the information. And we started training on every Wednesday night or Tuesday night. I want to say in Kinley, North Carolina. It was me, a guy named Laz, Dustin, and another guy named Stacy. Laz, he did some work for TNA back in the day, and yeah. So it was the 3 of us. And that's how my shit started.
Right. So you actually competed with the Hardy Boys, right?
At that time, they were on the circuit
Hmm.
with me. I want to clear this up. A lot of people always say that I was on. I was trained by them in Omega. No, they um, they had their own promotion in Cameron, North Carolina, with a guy named I want to say Thomas Simpson. If you're listening, they were in charge of. You saying some wrong things. So I just wrestled one time, but during certain times when we wrestled in North Carolina, they would be on. I would be on the same show as them. You know what I mean? I can't say they were on the same show as us. We were on the
Right.
same show together. We shared the same locker room. It was them, Shane Helms, Mike Maverick, Joey Abs. I think at that time Lodi was already because see Lodi was trained also by C.W. Anderson, and so right when I came in to start training, he was already getting his shot at WCW as one of the Ravens flop. So I met him, a couple of times when we were training, but then he already moved to Atlanta, and so CW was training us, but then CW got a tryout in ECW, and then there was another guy that came in that took over. His name was Gary Simone,
Mm.
and he went as the Matt Trucker, and so what we when we had wrestling shows in North Carolina, no, like I said, Gregory Helms before he became Hurricane, he would be there. Mike Maverick, his tag team partner, a lot of other guys, Preston Quinn, Caprice Coleman, yeah, all those guys, So I shared some of the the locker room with them, these guys coming up wrestling. I was a greenhorn, and then I got invited to go uh, ECW through Steve Carino and CW.
Right. So I remember watching WCW that was a big show, right? WCW show, and then somehow I saw ECW, which was sort of a smaller,
Hmm.
intimate setting, but the crowd was so violent, like they were so over the top and
Yeah,
lot of action. And then I remember that couple of those days I remember seeing Taz on TV and Tajiri
right,
on
right.
ECW. Like that was like it was so different from like WCW and this sort of a regular wrestling. uh, so tell me the journey, like going into the ECW. Like how did you started? You mentioned how you were introduced to that, and what were like your first matches?
Yeah, I like I said, I was it was CW and Steve Carino who invited me up, and I watched a couple of matches while I was there, and then um, I worked out a couple of times, and then we were in Virginia at the boathouse, and Tommy Dreamer, Paul was there, and they were like, hey, Tommy came up to me. Tommy Dreamer said, hey, because I had already put my clothes back on, my street clothes back on after the training, just to
Mm.
watch the show. I was going to hang out in the back, watch the show. Well, Tommy asked me, "Hey, need you to work." Oh, okay. And you're going to work Julio De Niro, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was like, "What?" So because I had never, I really didn't know anything about uh, ECW when I was in North Carolina because we didn't get that channel. That was a upstate like North. It was like a New York channel, um, and we lived in the South, so I didn't get Madison Square Garden channel, and they were called East Coast Championship Wrestling at one time. So anyway, I didn't know anything about ECW. I just liked the show. When I went there, I was like, oh, I was amazed. I saw the
Mm.
Dudleys, almost cause a riot. I saw certain things, New Jacket, all those guys. I was like, wow, these guys are amazing. I was like, oh snap. But then they were crazy, like Sandman and Balls Mahoney. I was like, so when Tommy asked me to, be the curtain jerker, be the first match out, like a dark match almost against Julio, I was like, yo, I was nervous as hell, scared about the shit in my pants, but Julio, he took care of me, you know what I mean? And went out there, did a show. Um, I did pretty good when it came to the busting out of the gorilla position, my charisma and everything like that. Like I said, Julio took care of me. It was a solid match. I was like a deer looking into the headlights of a car coming, but it worked out, and then there were some guys that wanted to get off the ring crew, like the Baldies, and Tony
Mm.
DeVito, Bill Wiles, and Angel. So Tommy, he sold me this pitch. He was like, "Yo, you can be on the ring crew and you can wrestle. That's all I can do for you. You know what I mean? If you want to join the company, that means you will come from your house in North Carolina, drive all the way up, pick up the ring truck and go wherever it needs to go, set up the ring, go back, bring the truck back, drop it off, and then you get in your car and then you go back home." I said, "Okay." And he said, "I'll pay you $75 for uh, setting up the ring, $75 to wrestle." That was my that was my meal ticket. I wasn't on contract or anything like that. And I was just
Right.
excited. I wanted the experience. You know what I mean? I didn't give a fuck. I was like, yo, I just want to, I want to wrestle. You know what I mean? I want to be a part of something. You know what I mean? And I didn't know exactly what ECW was. I was like, where did they fit in? As far as WCW, WWF at the time, WWE. I was like, who? But I knew when I saw Paul Dangerously, because I saw him in WCW, I knew it was something. I knew it was something. I just didn't know how big of a star is like I didn't know Lance Storms were in Rob Van Dam. Those guys were in WCW before
Mm.
Jack Victory. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So because they weren't like major stars. They weren't like huge. They were just like your mid carder guys in WCW. And then when they came to ECW, they were like major stars. So I was just glad to be a part of it.
Yeah. So the the feeling I had was looking at the ECW event was like it was like MTV Headbangers Ball. Like that's sort of a vibe, right? It was so strong. It's quite amazing. I actually watched recently your match. You did Balls Mahoney, and you actually did a tag team match with Baldies. There's one
Mhm.
video that yeah,
Yeah.
and then also Balls Mahoney with Tajiri, where the Tajiri does the green mist, and then they end
Yeah.
up, and you comes in, and then they end up doing this flaming tables. You know?
Right. Right. Yeah, that was in Chicago. Exactly. Yeah. I didn't. Man, I was such a greenhorn in ECW. You know what I mean? I think God for all those guys who took care of me in ECW. Um, my first couple of my matches were with I would wrestle like guys like Guido. Fuck, man, that guy was so awesome.
Hmm.
And just take care of me, man. He run circles around me before I even knew what was going on. And then guys like him, Rodney Mack, he would come in. Tony Mama Luke, Mike Bell, when he passed away, but guys like that, man, they would take care of me, in the ring and everything. But the thing I think with me, I worked out and I really wanted to look like a wrestler. You know what I mean? I really wanted to show off my physique or whatever. I didn't have I wasn't like a rock physique or anything like that. But I just wanted to wear tights. And we were discussing the match, and I thought I was going to the table. And Angel, Angel said, "No, you're not going through the table." He said, "Look at you, look at us." So I'm looking, and I'm like, he said, "We all have on t-shirts. Ball has on a t-shirt. The Baldies have on t-shirts. I'm the
Hmm.
only one that don't have on a t-shirt. I'm the only one that got all this oil all over me." And but I won't think of that. I was just thinking I was going through the table. I was like, what's a flaming tables, man? I'm going through fire, whatever. And and then they're like, "Yo, Chilly, just chill. We got this." You know what I mean? And that's how they were. Just shut your mouth. We do it, and you just follow us. And so Angel he said, "I'm going through the table." Um, and yeah, that's how it was, man. It was like a brotherhood, and it was like a family, regardless of what your status was in ECW. You know, we all work together. We all try to help each other.
Right. So Balls Mahoney, I think, passed away, right? 2016, I think,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yes. Yep.
pretty sad.
Rest in
Uh,
peace, Ball.
you remember like first seeing Tajiri or wrestling? When did you remember that experience? Like when did you like first saw Tajiri?
I say that again. When was the first time I saw Tajiri?
Yeah.
You mean ECW or outside ECW? You mean here in Manila when we
No,
were
no,
in the
no. In
Philippines, or
ECW, like back in the day, when did you
when I
first
first saw?
saw?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
When did I first? Yeah, I don't know exactly when. It was probably when I met everyone else. Um, is you watch his match, you watch everyone matches, and I think he was with Mikey Whipwreck at the time, or doing something like that. And so, I never really spoke to him. Not I never really spoke to Tajiri. Maybe just, hey, what's up, Tajiri? Because he didn't really speak a lot of English, and he was just, it's
Mm.
Chilly Willy, something like that. And being on the ring crew, um, we were like the lower level guys, in a sense of, because we were always the first ones at the arena, always the last one to leave. And so those guys flew in, flew out, drove in, drove out, and I would see him, but it wasn't like, before the show start, all the wrestlers would come in and gather around the ring and talk about their matches, and we would be inside. Guys like me, Tom Marquez, um, we would be in practicing, rolling around, and so they would look, they would hang out on the apron, they would give us pointers like Raven, they would give us pointers, hey, what are you guys doing? Don't Jerry Lynn, you need to do it this way, you need to do it that way. And like I said, I would see Tajiri, but not really speak to him.
Mm.
You know, it really wasn't until he came here in 2019 I saw him that we really connected.
Right.
That was the first time that we really connected and talked for a long period of time, because we had something in common. We saw each other. We worked with each other 20 years before. 19 years
Right.
before. So it's been that long, 19 years. So it's like, wow.
Right. So ECW, you used your entrance music. If I remember, it was you used DMX also, right? DMX and
Yep. I
Q-Tip.
did. I did Q-Tip. I think Q-Tip was first, and then I switched over and did DMX. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind.
Yeah, this one, right?
Yeah.
This one, the party
Yeah.
up.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. No doubt. So
Yeah, I mean it's so it's
big ups to DMX. So rest in peace, brother.
yeah, it's so sad that he passed away because I'm like into metal and rock mostly, but DMX is someone that I could even appreciate because he had that so
Yeah.
badass like music, right?
He did, man. It was like, a lot of people talk about Tupac music, but DMX, man, his shit was just like, you know, it wasn't a gangster type of thing. It was just badass music. It was like a
Right.
hardcore. If he was a white guy, he would be heavy metal for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of shit his shit was going in, and it was just he could go, but yeah, it was, I had a good time there. Man, there was so many, you know, good people there at ECW, man. It was just like awesome,
Right.
you know.
Uh, do you watch the wrestling these days? Like what's on WWE now?
Mm, no, I don't. I don't have Peacock, and I don't really. Hold on, just a second. Just a second. Hold on. My girlfriend's going to work. So anyway, yeah, it's I, I don't watch per se. I try to, because I have a podcast, and then I also co-host on A&C Podcast. So I try to
Right.
stay abreast to some things. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard because, like I said, I don't have Peacock, and when I had the network, when the network was going, yeah, I was watching it. I was trying to watch, especially the pay-per-views and the WrestleMania stuff like that. But now, no, I haven't.
Right. Right. Because I mean I understand that like they especially like what's happening to WWE. It was such a for me it felt like a what they did during the pandemic, where they were just wrestling without the crowd, it looked silly for me, and I
Hmm.
stopped watching. I couldn't really, watch continue to watch that anymore, and
Yeah,
all
that's
these things. Yeah, it's go ahead.
that is I think that turned off a lot of people. Um,
Mm,
they kept some people, and I was saying this to someone else we had on our podcast. You know, that's a hard thing to do, man. I mean, kudos to the guys and the girls in WWE who and other promotions who doing that. You know, you have to wrestle in front of no one, even if they have the monitors. But I mean, wrestling without a crowd and not, they had to put in that they have to filter in that audience, that sound,
mm,
and that's just really a gimmick. So it's kind of hard, but um, yeah, kudos to them, man, because that's some hard shit to do. I would think that's hard. It's like practicing. It's just basically just practicing, really. But
right.
the people that are watching, there's millions of people that are watching. That's the thing. It's just that the crowd reaction. Wrestling is all about crowd participation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like going to a circus. You can't go to a circus and there's no one inside the fucking tent. It's like, okay, who are you after you do your somersault flip and they catch you on a trampoline or a trapeze or whatever? No one's clapping for you. It's like, huh? It's so yeah, it's kind of hard, and they need. I'm glad that they're going back to the crowd, UFC, like this weekend with UFC and everything, because you can't you can't do none of that without a crowd. It's like fighting in Rome back thousands of years without an audience. It's who did that? They didn't do that, and so
Right.
that's what entertainment is. That's what sports entertainment is. That's what basketball, football, everybody needs a crowd. Tennis, even golf needs a crowd. Even though they're not like, yeah, but they need you to clap if you make a hole in one. I mean, it's like, really, you're just gonna go out here on a golf course, no one's there, and you're gonna try to be like Tiger Woods or Phil Nicholson. And it's like, so yeah, every sports that is played needs a crowd, a live
Mm,
crowd. Just not wrestling. Every sport. You know what I mean? Boxing, even swimming. You
yeah.
need a crowd. You need that. And so but it's hard. It's kind of hard to watch. But they're doing their thing, man. They're doing the best they can do with what they got, what they have to do, and
Yeah.
we'll
I
see what
mean,
happens.
also it's a big business with so many people working, right? So they cannot just close it down, right? They
Exactly.
cannot shut down.
Right. People lives depend on it. People lives depend on what AJ Styles does, and what he wears, and you know, uh, where he makes his moves. The ring crew, everything, the lighting, everything, man, everything. You know, there's a piece. Someone is have their own section trying to when you go on television, it's not like me and you here. We're
Right.
doing our own thing. You know what I mean? Because if that was the case, then we wouldn't have shortages. You know, on our videos. It would never be like a blackout on our video.
Right.
Because we would have someone, an engineer to correct that shit. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing, man. You like you said, like you just said, people lives depend on what they do. So they gotta keep it going somehow.
Right. So one more thing that I noticed though with wrestlers is that a lot of these wrestlers go through, one thing is their bodies gets broken because
Hmm.
they put so much, all these things that they do, plus they have a lot of uh, problems, like mental problems like addiction, and they go through that. A lot of these wrestlers go through that, right? And
Hmm.
one movie that I really watched recently and like was this one, The Resurrection of Jake the Snakes Roberts. Have
Okay.
you seen that one?
No, no, I haven't.
So this is
I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it.
yeah, this is a documentary that Jake the Snake Roberts, he couldn't even walk properly, and he couldn't even stand up.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Right.
uh, DDP got him into his program, does the yoga, and
Yes.
so they
Yoga.
show
Yeah.
this movies, the struggle, what he goes through. He
Mm-hmm.
relapses. He goes out drinking again, and it's such an emotional movie. Like, because at the end, Jake got into the Hall of Fame, right? I think a few
Right.
years back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a such a struggle. I think also the hustle that they have to go to city and city every week. They will be
Mm-hmm.
just traveling to different, and it's just take a toll on you, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It does. You're out. I think it's something like 265, 280 something days a year. They're on, they're on the road, and bro, I mean, you doing that for 15, 20 years, 10 years. Hell, you do it for 2 years. That's a struggle on your body. And you know, unless you even at a young age, you come in business at 25, 26, um, you know, that's good. But shit, by the time you turn 45, 46, your body's beat up. You beat up, and if you don't have a strong mind, to or strong family support, strong friends, you know, yeah, you will find company within the drugs, within the alcohol, within whatever device that you're gonna be in, and that's gonna hurt you in the long run. You know what I mean? I mean, on a normal day, guys like me or whatever, if I drink or something, drink a beer, or whatever, yeah, that's not bad per se. I
Mm.
don't think. But if I'm drinking like really hard stuff every day, and then going out wrestling, and then my body is like jacked up, and I do an injury, but I don't really go get it checked out because I think, okay, it's just a little bump here, it's just a little bruise there. Over time, it's going to catch up to me, and your hip, you everything, your hip, your knees, that stuff,
Mm.
man, they give out fast, and they give out first. Especially your knees, your ankle, your hips, then your back. What I mean? And so you need all these painkillers. When I was at ECW, there's a lot of guys on painkillers. I didn't understand. I'm coming from the Indies. I don't see that much.
Mm.
But when I went to ECW and I saw these guys on painkillers, I didn't understand. I was like, but then when I started wrestling, and then afterwards, like okay, then we driving. Like, okay, I understand, because
Right.
now you're on the road a lot, sitting in your car, trying to get from one point A to point B, and then you got to do it again. And so, yeah, it's a hard life, man. You have to really be careful what you wish, because yeah, you can say, I want to be on the WWE, and I want to be AEW, I want to be on top. Yeah, but you don't know what it takes to get there, really, and stay there. You might get there on a good couple of matches that you had, but now you gotta maintain that. You gotta maintain your body every day, dog. This ain't no, okay, I'm going to look good this Saturday night, and then on Sunday I'm going to eat pizza and do this and do that. No, because you got another match on Sunday night. You got another
Right.
match on Monday. You might be off on Tuesday, Wednesday. Now you're back on the road Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You know what I mean? House shows and stuff like that. And so you living out of your suitcase, out of a hotel, and you know you gotta get to the gym. God forbid if
Mm.
you God forbid if you are on a cycle, and I mean steroid cycle, to make your body look good. I'm gonna keep it real. You know what I mean? You got to. And you out there and you work, and you forget to work out, or you forget to eat right. It's gonna mess up your whole everything. And now you out
Mm.
here bumping, you out here taking punishment, chair shots, kicks, punches, bumping. And so after 20 something years of that, 30 something years like Jake did, I can imagine, man, his body worn down like that. And Jake the Robin, he
Right.
wasn't no built guy. He was no road warrior type of guy, or he didn't look like Ultimate Warrior. You know,
Mm.
big guy. I never met him, but he looked like he's about 6'5", something like that, 6'6". But just think about that. You don't really work out in the gym like those guys, like Ultimate Warrior, Sting, and those guys. And then look at those guys. Look what they went through. Look what the Road Warrior or Hawk went through. Alcoholism and all that stuff. You you have to have a vice in a sense. You know what I mean? To handle the shit that's going down on the road, because on the road is some crazy stuff, man. I mean,
Right.
here in the Philippines, you guys they don't understand that. I don't they don't understand what being on the road means.
Right.
But in the States, being on the road, man, that's some whoo. I mean, it's fun in a sense because there's some road stories, but for the most part of it, man, you gotta take care of your body, especially if you're on the contract. You're on the contract for $2 or $3 million a year from WWE. Let's just
Right.
say, yo, you got to be up 5 o'clock in the morning to be on that 6:30 a.m. radio show to promote the next town or the city that you're in. You
Mm.
just came back from a show. You just came back from WrestleMania. I'm just giving an example. WrestleMania, biggest show in WWE history. And then you're partying that night, but then they say, okay, Chilly Willy, we need you at WBLS or WBC, whatever, and you need to promote the next thing that's coming up next, Raw or Hell in a Cell that's coming up, or whatever. I'm just giving an example. So I done drank, got tore up, had a good match. I'm, I don't know, 5, 10 shots tequila. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got to be up by 6, 7. I got to be
Right.
the next town. How many times can you do that? At
Right.
27 years old, you might could do it a couple of times, but when not at no 40, 45, 46 years old, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I can see how his body, you know, was hurting like that. You know what I mean? A lot of
Right.
guys like that. A lot of guys like that.
Yeah. So, Chili, you mentioned about your podcast. So I know you have your Chilly Willy podcast,
Hmm.
and then you host another one, right? So can you tell me about this podcast you do?
The one that the Chilly Willy podcast I do, um, it's just my own thing. That's where I started out at. I just wanted to showcase the Philippine wrestling scene here, um, and just just keep us here in the Philippines relevant. And so that
Right.
was my intent. I want to go in another direction now, I guess, with it. I was just thinking that tonight. I was like, I want to go in another direction. Not just all about wrestling. Maybe something like I don't know. But when I first started, it was called Chili Willy's podcast, my opinions. Like, so I just wanted to get opinions on certain things. You know,
Right.
um, and then I went back. Then I went into the wrestling thing. So now I kind of interviewed everyone I wanted to interview here in the Philippines when it comes to wrestling, and so I want to just do something different. But I'm not sure where I want to go with it. I came out with a thing called the Angry Black Man, but I've yet to come up with the content of what how I'm going to do that. You know what I mean? I might would change it, whatever. Just talk about shit, and talk to the crowd. And then the A&C podcast. That's with my co-host Andrew Campbell. He's a young guy out of the same state that I'm from, North Carolina. He actually trains at the same dojo where I was training at, and so he's a cancer survivor, and he wanted to link up and do a podcast with me. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. So he does all the technology stuff, and I just hop on, and we try to find wrestlers to interview, and that's it. We just go from there, and just have fun with it. Um, not really making money or anything like that. Just getting content and just keeping it having it out there, keeping it on YouTube, so that when we die or whatever, people look back and say, "Oh, this is, you know, this is what
Right.
what they did." So what you doing? You know what I mean? So it's not just always about the money or how many likes or how many subscribers. At first when I started, I was like, I want like 100,000 subscribers on, but then I was like, no, I don't really want all that, because with that comes another responsibility. So I'm my
Right.
own boss. You know what I mean? I can get up when I want to get up and do a podcast. If I don't want to get up, I don't have to get up. You know what I mean? But if you start having like 100,000 subscribers and YouTube is paying you and all this stuff, now you work for them. And I'm like, nah,
Mm,
fuck all that. I'm good. I'm good just the way I am. I don't want no boss. You know what I mean? I want to be my own boss. And so yeah, that's and I just do it for fun. I do it to
right.
keep, because I suffer from PTSD also. So I have to have an outlet in a sense. If not, then sometime I get, a little, people they don't see that side of me. Um, so I get a little, wacky in the head. But so this is pretty good.
Right. Yeah. So the even what I do is, because I talk to a lot of musicians mostly, and
Okay.
one thing that I really proud of is that I interviewed these people. For example, I interviewed this drummer who played in the
Really?
Woodstock festival, the first Woodstock. Yeah, he's and people like that. And I talked to a lot of my Sri Lankan musicians who they never had a interview online. Like there's no
Mm,
content about them. It's just the one that I did. So I'm proud of, because I'm putting their story and I'm
okay.
preserving that story, right? I think that's what
Nice.
you also saying. So we put this
Nice.
conversation so it's there for the future, right?
Yeah, that's and see, I was thinking the same thing, man. First of all, are you a musician? You play?
No, actually, I'm a fan of musicians. So I mean, I used to go to a lot of concerts, and then the pandemic hit, so I couldn't go to any more concerts. So I started the podcast because of that, so I
Okay.
can keep that energy.
Yeah. That's good shit, man. But I forgot what I was getting ready to say. Damn. But yeah, music, man, is. I was thinking that just the other day, I was thinking, like I said, I wanted to change the content from the narrative from wrestling to something else. What can I get into? What can I talk about? Um, and so yeah, I wanted to find some actors, actresses to talk to, even talk about some financial things or whatever. The relation, the racial shit that's going on in America, I don't know, that's gonna be there. There's no need for me to. I can talk about it. It ain't gonna change nothing. It is
Right.
what it is with that shit. You know what I mean? That's a thing with the racial stuff that's going on. You can talk to you blue in the face, bro, until the masses on both sides change. It ain't going nowhere. So no need to even waste my time on that. You know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
but but I wanted to do something like more positive, like you're doing. With the doing something like talking to musicians, like you said, they don't you don't hear a lot from certain musicians. Now
Right.
drummers, especially drummers. You know what I mean? Keyboardists, bass players. You don't hear from those guys or girls. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's just like they're in the background or whatever, unless they're big stars. And then the big stars, you got to go through their publicists to get to just to get to them. You know what I mean? And it's like, so that's a good thing you're doing. Very good,
Yeah.
very cool.
Right. So Chile, I remember 2001, the September 11, when that thing happened. I was in Sri Lanka back then,
Hmm.
and I remember watching that on CNN, and then remember people jumping off the building, and
Mm,
that's the first time I think I really felt that uh, oh, the world is ending. Like I had that sort of feeling when I watch it. Like I never seen some like that horrible situation,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah. So I believe that you actually joined the military after that 9/11, right?
Yes,
So,
yes, exactly. And it wasn't per se just I joined the military to go fight terrorism and all that bullshit, because I don't. I really, I mean, America is like to me one of the most, you know, ooh, anyway, they got some shit with them too. You know what I mean? So I wasn't going to the military to say, okay, I'm that much of a patriot that I'm going to fight, you know, because I knew who the enemy really is.
Mm.
Um, I do, and so it's like being a black man in America, we know who the enemy is, and so we know what they can do, what they're capable of doing. And so I was like, I needed a job because ECW was fucking closing. I said I need a job, man. I don't want to, you know, I really don't really want to work at 9 to 5. Yeah,
Mm.
I think they would hire me if I went into the military. 'Cause I'm 31, you know, I'm right at that age limit, and I'm like, you know, and yeah, I kind of do want to be a part of history. I know that I'm gonna have to at some point if I go in here, I'm gonna have to go overseas and fight because it's just it's there. You know, I know I'm gonna do that. But was I gung ho to go there? No. You know, hell no. I was like, nah, man. If we don't have to go over there, I'm good with just staying here doing my job here. But when I went in, of course, I went in as infantry, so I was sort of like contradicting my own self, and
Right.
I was like, okay, I don't want to go to war, but okay, if you don't want to go to war, why did you pick infantry? You know, why you pick Levin Bravo? Well, I want to go and I want to fight. That's what I'm talking to myself. You know what I mean? And then, you know, like, nah, that don't make sense, dog. You pick Levin Bravo because you want to go, you want to see some action also. So one part of me was like, nah, I want to do it. And the other part was like, yeah, okay, I kind of do. And so, but my reason was going in the military was because I really needed a job, and I saw ECW was closing, and you know, I could have probably stayed home and really worked out more and really hone my skills more and try to get to WWE because I did have some dark matches, but um, it just wasn't. That wasn't in my that was not in the William Jones Chilly Willy uh, book of God's book, I guess. You know what I mean? Because we all have a book, I believe, and I believe that it's already written.
Mm.
That's just me. I believe it's already written, and so whatever it is that was for me was for me, and so this was it, you know, and you know that's what happened. So I don't regret at all. Actually, I wanted to stay in. I wanted to stay in for 20 years. I wanted to actually go to Korea and be stationed in Korea to finish out my term in the military. But as it happened, TNA called and WWE called, you know, at the same time. So when I
Mm.
came back from Iraq, I already had two messages at my captain's station, and they were like, "Yo, Jones, you got two messages here. One from TNA, and I didn't know what TNA was because
Right.
when I left to go to there was no TNA. But I have a good friend there, Scotty Diamore. He was there, and he's now the vice president of operations there. And we were wrestling ECW when we go to Ohio, and so they were trying. He was trying to get me to come on, you know, to go there and get me a tryout there. And then Paul Heyman kind of got me going in WWE. So I
Right.
picked WWE, of course. So I
Right.
got out of the military 2 months early before my contract was up.
Right. Right. So really, it's really, interesting to talk. What's your message to the viewers of the podcast?
In terms of, I mean, wrestling or
Maybe you can say something to the wrestlers who's inspired to do wrestling, and also people who are like, living through these days. So
yeah.
uh,
Man, well, first to the wrestlers, you know, like I said earlier, you know, keep yourself active, you know, mentally and physically, because I don't think we're going to we're going to come out of this. You know what I mean? And things will go back to normal in some sense,
right.
and shows will start to open up and start happening. I believe, and so if you're a wrestler, in your home, you need to start preparing yourself if you haven't. If you sat around for a whole year, just chilled, got fat, now's the time to start working out, doing something, walk. If you don't, you know, have anything else to do, walk, do some push-ups and sit-ups. You know what I mean? Some squats. You don't have to be in the gym. You don't have to join the gym. Trust me,
Right.
you do not have to join a gym. Doing push-ups and turn over and do some sit-ups. Get up, do some squats. That's it. Jumping jacks. Uh, think right there in the comfort of your own home. You know what I
Right.
mean? And two sets is fine. You don't have to go 3 and 4 sets, but you have to work your way up. So, um, yeah, just keep that mindset of staying in some type of shape, because this is gonna pass over, and when the things start to open back up, you want to be halfway ready, if not all the way ready. And to the people out there who are just living, trying to make a ends meet, and you know um hold on. That's all I can say is hold on, stay positive, um pray to whatever God you have or what you believe in, and that things will get better. I believe it will get better. um just know that this thing that we're going through, um it's man's doing. So it's not like some supernatural thing that just fell out of the sky. uh, this is man's doing. This is a man's world. That I'm not just saying men. I'm just saying men and women, but this is a man's thing that happened, that made this thing possible, um, for us to suffer in. And I believe that the karma will come back to whoever started this stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but we as the people, who don't have a voice, who don't have the power, military or economically, we have to you have to have a power in your mind to say, okay, you got to stay strong, because they can't take that away from you. They can make you take the vaccine, they can make you do, but they can't take what's inside you. You know what I mean? Stop you from believing in what you believe in. Don't be puppets. You know what I mean? Because that's what they want you to do. Just think
Right.
about it. Look how many people made billions during this pandemic, and then look how many people who didn't eat. You know what I mean? Who's still struggling. So that goes to
Mm.
show you something is way off. There's a huge off balance. And so, yeah, you just stay positive, or surround yourself with positive people. Also, that's a good thing too. Not negativity people, not people who chismosa. Do you guys have here? Um, in America, we call nosy people. Um,
Right.
Stay away from those motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Stay away from, if you see someone that's talking about someone else for no reason, stay away from that person, because they're gonna talk about you the same way. So
Right.
keep yourself, you know, surrounded by positive people, your family. Keep your family away from that negative energy, man. And protect your family by all costs, no matter what. Like, protect your family. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah. So, anybody you want to shout out to?
Yeah, give a shout out to all the wrestlers here in the Philippines, man. The WUW, AOW, men and women, MWF, men and women, PWR, men and women, and then just our fans, and then all over the world. Thank you guys for everything, and big shout out, Chilly Willy, love you, and stay strong, stay positive, and yeah, do your push up.
Right. So, I mean, this is such a honor for me to have you, because like watching you on that TV, and then now we are talking about that, and after so many years, so many decades, it's
Yo,
and such an honor that you're in the Philippines, and hopefully we can meet again someday, like when
yes,
things are
sir.
good. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
so I wish you all the best with everything, and as you said, stay strong. Finally, tell everyone how they can connect with you on social media.
Yes, I am on Facebook, William Chilly Willy Jones. Also, that's really basically the one I use. My Instagram is William want to say Chilly Willy 2469, and then my Twitter is ECW William Chilly Willy Jones, or something like that. If you type in William Jones ECW wrestler, you it'll
You
come
will
up
get
somewhere.
right. So
And then on my Chilly Willy podcast, and then my check out our A&C podcast. We try to do it weekly. Sometimes we skip a week or so. But the A&C podcast with Andrew Campbell, and then my Chilly Willy podcast.
right. So thanks, William, for joining this. Really
Thank
enjoy
you.
talking to you. Yeah.
Uh,
Stay strong.
yes,
Thank
yes, you
you.
too. That's it. Stay strong, brother.
Thank you.